Alright, I'm going to show you how to place the work features that we're going to use on our cam part so that we are able to constrain it in our assembly file the way that we want to constrain it so we can show the motion of our cam. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have my cam open. The first thing I'm going to do is come over here and we're going to put a plane between two intersecting planes. And so under work features, I'm going to go ahead and click plane, and I'm going to say I want a mid plane between two planes. And so what that's going to do is we're going to select two planes, and it's going to put a plane between those two. So the first thing I'm going to select is the front surface of my cam, and then I'm going to go around to the back side of my cam, and I'm going to select the back surface of it. And you notice how it put a work plane right between those two planes, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to want to put a work axis in for our hole here. And so I'm just going to click axis, and I can click the arrow by it to get more choices. And I just want to, in this case, use an axis. And so I'm going to click axis, and then I can go ahead and click on that hole. All right, and if you zoom in, you can see that it placed an axis in that hole. If I hit escape to end the command, I then can make the axis longer or shorter, how I want it to show up so that it's easy for me to select when I need to select it in my assembly. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a work plane that is perpendicular to this plane, and it runs through the center of this hole here. All right, and so how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and create a work point first. And so I'm going to click the drop down menu for that, and I'm going to say I want a intersection of a plane, surface, and a line. And so I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click on my surface of my cam, and then I'm going to click on my work axis. And then when I do that, you see it puts a point right here on that work axis. All right, we're going to use that point to create the other plane that we want. If you come over here to your browser, you can click on the arrow by origin, and you can see the different origin planes that come up. And depending on how you modeled your part, yours might look a little bit different, or it might be called a different plane. But in my case, I'm going to want to use the YZ plane, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And then under plane, I'm going to click that I want to create a plane parallel to a plane through a point. And so when I do that, I then can it selects automatically that YZ plane, and then I can select my point, and it will put a plane perpendicular to our other plane through the center of that hole, which is what we want. And again, if you hit escape, you can select and you can resize your work plane. If you happen to accidentally feel like you've moved your plane and it's not in line anymore, for instance like this, if you look at the front view of the object, it actually still is in line. It's just not big enough to stretch out in the view that you were seeing. So just make it close again, and then you can resize it. But it actually is never moving from the center point. It just appears to be moving. And so once you kind of have those planes figured out and everything labeled like you want, then the last thing I want to show you is sometimes when we're working in assemblies and parts, these planes and work features become a little bit distracting when we're trying to do things. So if you want to turn those off, all you have to do over in your browser is right click and uncheck the visibility, and it will turn off the visibility of that work plane. For now, we're going to go ahead and leave them all on. When you have them all on there, you're going to want to go ahead and save your part.